This record is the property of the Order of the Swords Inquisition, approved by the Council of Master Inquisitors of Castle Varda, to be distributed for educational purposes.
In 1224 APA, Realmian ships arrived to what is now known as Dalreach. Their first contact was the Elvish kingdom of Eliril. Before that point, they thought Dalreach was just another isolated island in the middle of the mighty ocean. But with the new contact in Eliril, so much new information about the continent of Albeon was discovered, including the introduction to New World sorcery. Magic in the New World works differently from Rowain. It has deep connection with the Ardelisans, especially with the elves. To understand how it works, you have to understand where this power supposedly came from. Magic, or what the natives call Alan's gift, is a phenomenon which is only known to take place amongst the elvish population. According to the legend, Alan, their owl deity, gifted the ability to the elves as a way for them to defend themselves against dark forces. More specifically, she gifted them to the female population of Ardell, as they were seen as the purest of beings. This is where the peculiar matriarchal structure of Ardelisan society came from, with the leaders of their faith literally being called the matriarch, and the vast majority of the clergy and witches of course being female. But as we'll see, not all witches are made equal. In the Ardelisan society, there are three distinct castes of magic. The purebloods, those who have no magical abilities, their visual characteristics primarily being the color of their blood being red like usual. They constitute the vast majority of the population. The half-bloods are the elves born with magical abilities, the color of their blood being both golden and red, almost never mixing. They constitute the vast majority of magic users in Ardell, and they can also vary wildly on how powerful they can be. Finally, and most importantly, the Goldbloods. They are by far the most powerful of the magic users. They are to half-bloods what half-bloods are to purebloods. Their blood is entirely golden, with not a single drop of red. Their breed is extraordinarily rare, even more rare considering the circumstances of having a half-blood in the first place. For every 10,000 or so half-bloods, a gold-blood is born, which is extremely rare considering only 5% of the population are half-bloods. The sign of their caste usually comes when an Ardelisan comes to puberty. If magical abilities begin forming between 12 to 16 years old, then they are put through a test trial to see their rank. Usually they start testing by their first period. After 4 months, if the blood continues to be mixed, then they are half-bloods. But if the concentration of gold in their blood, which is called Irene, increases at the point where only Irene is in their blood, then they are gold-bloods. Either way, the families of magic users would be honored, especially the families of the gold-blooded. They would be given free entrance exams to potentially join the Order of the Matron's Hand, to become witches or educators who are highly revered in Ardelisan society. But once a magic user is found, they can have a couple paths to go through. Unlike in Rowain, where magic can be simplified to simply necromancy and dark arts, in Albeon, it has an unparalleled level of complexity to it. The city of Eleanor is the center of magic in the entire continent. It is also where the Order of the Matron's Hand is centered in. They have developed a complex system of magic use and spells which allows future witches to study and understand. The simplified table of spells, which is publicly available, is only a small sample of potentially thousands of spells which could be discovered all with their own power levels. However, besides Goldblood, every witch has a limit. It's called the LP limit. LP is short for levitation power, is a standard measurement unit for magisters. Levitation 1 is by far the easiest spell to cast, barely needing any effort. So it's used as a reference, so its LP is 1. The LP limit can vary from witch to witch, but the average is around 55 LP. To measure one's LP limit, they conduct a simple energy heaps projection spell. Depending on the length of the projection, when the caster begins to feel discomfort at a certain point, the LP limit is determined by the distance and a simple equation. What happens when someone goes beyond their LP limit? The event known as fracting. When a user goes beyond their LP limit, their bodies could not handle the energy increase from the spells they cast. Their bodies begin to crack. If they do not stop or are unable to, they combust, releasing a deadly explosion of pure magic energy, which completely dissolves all their clothing, tools, and weaponry, and anyone within a 5-meter radius. Witches use a special crystal to enhance their LP tolerance. They are known as mythite crystals. They are usually mined underground or harvested from special elder trees, which grow them every few hundred years. These crystals can enhance LP tolerance by a lot, from between 20 LP to over 80 LP, some even giving purebloods the ability to use them. Gold is actually a good conductor of magic, giving them material use, making them more valuable than they already are. You can find the witches and other half-bloods using gold-tipped tools or gold-coated equipment to enhance their abilities and sensitivity. This is the standard system which is universal in Albeon, as it constitutes the majority of magic users, but it's not the only one. Wild Arts are a less known system of magic, because it doesn't even have a defined system. It's a magic style which relies on mastering and taming natural spirits, and use them as vessels for their spells and sorcery. This art is very delicate, and the user must be in sync with the spirit for it to work. That's why only a handful of magic users actually manage to get it. They directly take energy from nature itself to enhance their sync in an act known as Aeon High, which means something like deep grabbing or deep extracted. Then there are the dark arts. The Ardelicians, as far as we know, do not have any records of it, besides their Void Lords. But in the old world, dark magic is well documented. The cult of Nox is a well-known cult of the dead. Practitioners often practice necromancy and twisted dark rituals to please Noxor, the Zorasari god of death. They are well known to have spawned undead hordes on Anvalon and even in some parts of Naxony. It is unknown if any made it to the New World, but if they did, the Swords Inquisition would have gone to them. Meanwhile, the Scourge cults are a more disorganized group of fanatic Harkus worshippers. These cults barely have any followers, especially after Ithrin's crusade, but most still creep mainly in Realmion. Almost nothing is known about them, only that they brand themselves with the cursed spear, usually on their chests or foreheads if they're devoted enough. They kidnap children for who knows what. The Order of the Swords Inquisition is an order founded in 1302 ABA to combat witch incursions into Realmion and settler territories. They started out as a police force, soon turned into a highly skilled and valued force of nature. The Inquisition became sanctioned by the Central Apostolic Church of Realmion in 1346 for their actions, receiving official funding since that point. Centered in Castle Varda in the colony of Tyrell, north of Dalridge, they have officially up to 90,000 Inquisitors and are spread out in castles all over the colonies and even colonies of other states as mercenaries. Inquisitors are organized into 4 distinct ranks. The young legionaries are the adolescent trainees, who are brought up from a young age to train to become Inquisitors. The Inquisitors are the standard ranks. They are highly professionals. They usually operate within urban and rural areas within the borders of the colonies. They are forbidden from going outside these colonies. Grand Inquisitors are the field commanders of the Inquisition. They are highly trained, the best of the best, when it comes to field operations. They usually lead parties of 2 to 3 Inquisitors into disputed territories and the central frontier to scout and kill spotted witches, sometimes even going by themselves. Grand Inquisitors are hand-picked from the best Inquisitors, who has the most kill count of verified witches, and arrested the most magic users, making them extremely dangerous opponents. And finally, the Master Inquisitors are the leadership of the Order. They get their positions via merit. They are elected by a council of already existing Master Inquisitors to be a part of their inner circle. There are about 200 Master Inquisitors, all of which lead one or more castles all over the colonies. Every year they gather in Castle Varda for an annual council where they discuss progress and status quo. There are also non-Inquisitor positions within the Order, those who are responsible for other necessities. The Officer Corps are field officers, usually stationed in urban areas as simple law enforcement. The Scribes are responsible for auditing and keeping records, and monks are there to maintain weaponry and the health of Inquisitors. The Inquisitorial weaponry arsenal is vast and high quality. Each blade, gun, and tool an Inquisitor uses are personalized and a work of art. They are the only force capable of using cartridge-based guns, as they are extremely expensive to produce and very delicate. The Inquisitors are trained to master sharpshooting and perfect aim accuracy. Not only that, but they also master swordsmanship. The iconic Eternian swords of the Order are made in-house with ashen steel, the strongest known metal in the known world, and the only one seemingly capable of countering witches' spells. These weapons, including other tools and gadgets, the Inquisition uses to keep the colony safe from outside forces and the terror of the witches and dark cults. The Order of the Matron's Hand is the organization primarily responsible for the production of militant witches. Next to nothing is known about their ranking, methodology, or training. But when they become proper witches, they are deadly. They can cast spells and could scorch the earth in seconds and burn entire regiments into smithereens. Their harassment of the pioneer colonies in the early 13th century led to the creation of the Inquisition in the first place. What we do know is that they have a complex hierarchy, and that they are heavily tied to the Imperial Court of Arcadia and the Matriarchy of the Alanei Faith. The highest rank is the Grand Witch, the supreme authority of the Order. She is responsible for decisions and sending out missions for witches to carry out. Then there are the Elders, the senior witches who are promoted to positions of power similar to commanders. They are extremely powerful. Usually their LP surpasses 100 if not more. Then there are the Field Witches, Youth, Standard, and Master Witches. These three are the primary ranks of the Order, making up the vast majority of witches. The Masters are the field commanders, the Standards are the main witch force, and the Youth are the trainees, the new members who train to become Standards. Sometimes, Youth Witches accompany Standard squads to gain experience when raiding settler settlements in the Central Frontier and defending local tribes from continental incursions. But mostly it's a squad of 4 to 5 witches under the command of a Master Witch who enter into the Central Frontiers to embark on those tasks. The weaponry of the Order is vast, but there are widespread standard equipment they use to enhance their abilities. The staffs are equipped with mythite crystals to produce heavy-duty spells as well as flying. Special gloves with gold tips at the fingers allows for the better concentration of magic energy to be conjured. Wands are less used for combat and more for everyday use. They are used by non-witch half-bloods for daily purposes. They are coated or tipped with gold to make them more effective overall. Seeing as the ability to use magic is hereditary and genetic, the Inquisition has made sentences for new half-bloods found in the colonies a lot lighter than witches. Anywhere from rehabilitation to joining a covenant. Every half-blood in the colonies are recorded after their first signs are found, and are made to swear never to use their abilities in their lives. They would be branded with a special tattoo marking them and making it clear that the Inquisition has them registered. Anyone found violating the sworn oath are dealt with accordingly. Other than that, their lives are relatively unaffected. Though cases of discrimination can exist, it's mostly isolated. Such acts are highly discouraged. This has been the baseline information needed about magic systems and laws surrounding sorcery in Albeon, approved by the Swords Inquisition and the High Council of Master Inquisitors. May your travels be safe. Oh, by the way, I opened up the official Fire Dust of Albeon Discord server now. If you'd like to join and make contributions to the project, or just make fan art or discuss stuff about it, you can join in the description below or in the pinned comment. I don't really remember where I put it. Yeah, anyways, may your travels be safe.